Good afternoon. Welcome back for another week of Daily Fantasy Golf. I'm Chris Durrell and I'm here for DFSR.com, and I'm going to go over my top cash game plays and GPP plays for the John Deere Classic this week. To start out, I'm going to navigate you through the DFSR.com website and show you how to get a free copy of my cheat sheet. With no baseball right now, you can find the article right at the top on the main page. So when you click on that article, you can go through and you can read my write-up a little bit on the course, what stats I'm targeting, stuff like that. The cheat sheet's right here at the top. You click on that image. If you want the trend sheet, you can click down here and it will open a separate Google Sheet. Now, first thing you're going to want to do when you open this sheet is go up to File, make a copy, name it whatever you'd like, click OK. It's going to open another sheet. That one will not be view only. The one that first opens is view only, and by opening a new one, it allows you to go and sort columns, change the model, stuff like that. So before getting into the picks, I had some requests, just kind of go over how I use the sheet, some things that I do each week to best utilize it. So I'm going to do that first of all. So the first thing I look at every week, once I get all the information entered in, field, the salaries, the odds, the official world golf ranking, the last 5, 10, and season average, DraftKings points, and all the stats, and get all the errors out of there, load everything into the cheat sheet. I come over here and I set my stats weight rankings. To decide on some of these stats ranks, I use a number of things, past results, correlated stats. So you can see down here at the bottom, like click on 16 results, you can see the whole leaderboard for 2016. These are all their year-end stats for that year. And then over here we got correlation, so the correlation to finishing position and the rank of each of these stats that I got on here. So you can see the stats that are in green. Strokes gained off the tee is the highest correlated, and your correlation runs between -1 and +1. So anything in the minuses is a negative correlated stat, and anything higher, usually for golf, we're going to see for a stat, the highest ones are going to be in that 0.3 to 0.4 range. Usually don't see any that go above 0.5. There's just so many stats in golf, so I kind of just use it as a gauge, one of the things. So I do that for the last 3 years. And then I also look at tournament stats. So this is hole by hole stats for the last 3 years of this tournament, and it all depends each week on what tournament, how much data you have. So I've got listed here the total number of birdies on the par 3s last year, par 4s and par 5s, with the percentage of the birdies of the course. So the kind of this one being a par 71, par 4 scoring, there's been 937, which is over 50%, 49%, and then 50% the last 3 years of the birdies. So par 4 scoring, that's where the par 4 scoring comes from. And this is a birdie fest. We've seen winners average score around -21 the last 5 years, so there's going to be a lot of birdies. So that's where I come up with, on the sheet, I'm going with birdie or better percentage. So moving on, after I do that, I slide over and look at the weighted ranks for all the categories. So we've got stats and all the players that are ranked according to what we just talked about with the weighted stat rankings. History, which is the last 5 years of course history, average finish, and then we've got form. So that would be each player's last 5 tournaments, average finish, and then rank them here. And then I just added this week DraftKings points for each player's last 5 tournaments. I've weighted that quite high because that's what we're looking for on DraftKings. You can easily correlate that over to FanDuel. The scoring isn't that far off, but mainly I will be adding FanDuel in the future. But for now, I just have DraftKings points last 5. So this week I've got 40% on the DraftKings points, 20% on the form. So that's kind of looking at last 5 tournament form. So that's about 60% of my model this week. A little bit of course history and a little bit of stats in there as well. So that's where I come up with the overall rankings. And then once I do that, I like to sort the overall weighted model. So I'm going to change this to orange just because it is similar to this. So we can sort either of these columns, data A to Z for lowest to highest, and we can see everyone now in the model, now that the model is set, ranked 1 through the field. So I think there's 153 this week. So what you can do once you create your own sheet, open your own, is you can come in here and you can change any of these. If you feel that stats are a little more important this week, or history, you can adjust that. And by adjusting that, say we add a 60 there, just going to change the number a bit. And what we're going to see is once it updates, the weighted rankings here on the side, yeah, change quite dramatically. So that's something you can adjust, or you can come right over to the stats model and you can bump up driving accuracy or ball striking or good drive percentage or pretty much whatever you want to tailor it to whatever model you want to build. So it really gives you the opportunity to fine tune it to your own preferences for sure. And each week it does make a difference what, the course history. Sometimes you have a new course, like a rotating course when it comes to the Open or the US Open, stuff like that. Current form, start of the year current form is going to be a lot less factored in there. So those are some of the things I look at. And then it all depends on how many lineups I'm going, but once I'm done that, I'm going to start highlighting. As you can see here, the guys in orange are the guys I'm going to talk about here in a bit. The guys in green are my main targets this week. The guys in blue will be my secondary targets, mainly for GPP only. Now I'll start with about anywhere from 30 to 50 golfers that I will highlight going through the sheet, and I will try and narrow it down to about 20 to 25 on average per week. I'm normally going about $50 to $100 in cash games. That's head-to-head 50-50s, double-ups, and then max entry in the $4 20 max, playing the $12 single entry, and then playing a bunch of $3 and $5 3 max tourneys, and also a couple entries into either the $27 or the $33 tournament each week. And that all, like I said, that all depends on how much time I have each week, as well as going with what kind of tournament it is, what the field's like, stuff like that. So now we can jump into the picks for the week. My top 2 cash plays, I'm going to start with Jamie Lovemark. Sorry about that, I had a little printer issue beside me. So my top cash play, Jamie Lovemark. Love the price. He's a touch better value on FanDuel, but it's a great play on both sites. He's 34th here last year, and he's playing even better this season. He's made 6 straight cuts with 2 top 10s at the Memorial and the Greenbrier. And looking at the Fantasy National website, this is something I've been looking at lately. Went into the beta test. This is an amazing product. Be sure to go check it out. FantasyNational.com, brought to you by Moosenomics. So one thing I was looking at for him was he ranks first in DK points, first in strokes gained off the tee, 18th in strokes gained approach, and 7th in strokes gained around the green over his last 12 rounds on bent grass green. So I'm going to show you what to do there. When you first load it, it's going to show you everyone in the field this week. So I went up here and I changed it to last 12 rounds, and I went to bent grass greens, sorted by DK points, and right there you got Jamie Lovemark right at the top, ranking first in the field in those areas. So 77th in strokes gained putting. I think he even puts average a little better than that, in the 50th or better range. I think he's going to be right up there and contend to win the tournament this week. Number 2 in my list is Chad Campbell. Over here, he's number 3 in my overall model this week. He started out number 1. I added some DK points. He fell a little bit there, but he ended up 3rd overall in the model. He's got some excellent course history here. He's made the cut in all 9 trips to TPC Deere Run with 1 top 10 and 4 top 20 finishes. He's also the only player in the sheet that ranks top 20 in all 4 categories. That's stats, form, history, and DraftKings points last 5 tournaments. And then looking at that Fantasy National website over here, he ranks 3rd in DraftKings points, like I said, on the bent grass green courses, 4th in putting, so he's been sinking a lot of putts. He does very well here, especially on the bent grass greens. Top 30 in strokes gained tee to green overall and strokes gained approach. So I think he makes a great cash game play this week at at a very affordable price. So check that out here. He's got 7,600 and 6,600. So he's in play on both sides for sure. Now when it comes to my top GPP plays, I know I'm probably crazy here, but I did say GPP. So my number 1 guy this week for GPPs, I'm not going to have a whole bunch of exposure, but he's a guy that I'm really looking at using for GPP only this week is going to be Luke List. He doesn't stand out on the sheet, ranking 70th overall. He is very cheap at $7,000, $6,000 on FanDuel. Hasn't had the greatest success here, and he's not coming in with the greatest of form. So what do I like about him? Well, his stats ranks. And why does he rank that good in stats? He ranks that good in stats because those stats come from the easy courses earlier in the year. He was really crushing them. So what I did, narrowing it down on Fantasy National, was going over here and sorting, also adding in easy courses. And when you add in those easy courses and sort by DK points, you got Luke List right there at the top. And one of the things that I do notice about Luke List is that on these easy bent grass courses, he ranks third in strokes gained putting. So I think there is some upside there. You know, you take all of this out there and just look at his last 12 rounds overall. He ranks 147th in strokes gained putting, which is very up and down. I think a lot of people are going to avoid him because of that, but seeing that he is top 10 in strokes gained putting on the easy bent grass courses, I think that makes him in play, a good spot for a turnaround. And everything else over the last, just type in Luke List here. That's another nice thing about the Fantasy Nationals. You can just search any player. At the top, you can also search any tournament you want. You can pretty much break things down. You know, you can really tailor it to what you want to look at when it comes to grass relative to par, last 12 rounds, the whole year, specific courses, pretty much anything you want. So it's a great product. But anyways, back to Luke List. Yeah, his issue lately, everything's running good. He's 6th in tee to green over his last 12 rounds overall, but 147th in strokes gained putting. So he's right there at the top of my GPP list. And then the other guy that I like, going over to FanShareSports and just kind of looking at the early mentions, Kevin Na, right in that range. Just going to look at the cheat sheet here. Going to sort by DK price. And I'm going to go up to that 8K range. Kevin Na ranks 27th on the sheet overall. He's finished 8th and 13th. He's got some stats, things that don't really line up in the stats, like the off the tee. So does Watney. But looking at FanShareSports, the biggest thing that stood out for me this week is that Na is getting mentioned. He's so far 27 tags, 22 for a start, 1 for a sit, while Nick Watney sits with 9 tags, and they're all for a start. So considerably less tags so far this week. So I think he's going to be a lot lower owned in that same range, and makes a nice pivot at $100 less on DraftKings, and actually $700 less on FanDuel. He hasn't played here since 2013, but finished T13, T27 back in those 2 years, and is also coming in with the 13th and 37th in his last 2 tournaments. And for the easy bent grass courses on the Fantasy National website, over the last 12 rounds, he ranks 15th in DK points, 10th in strokes gained tee to green, and 33rd in strokes gained putting. So I think he makes an excellent GPP play this week, pivoting off for some ownership purposes. My cheat sheet here, I'm going to include the link to this cheat sheet with my targets here that you can see on the side. Once again, the green are my main targets, blue are going to be my secondary targets, orange were the guys that I mentioned in the video here. I'm going to put that link there. I'm also going to update the main links from earlier this week in the article and on my Jaeger Bombs Fantasy Sports blog with the updated rankings for the model that you can adjust for DraftKings points last 5 tournaments. Other than that, we'll see some green screens this week. Make sure to hit like on the video, subscribe if you're looking for more content. I do a bunch of sports. We got some more baseball coming up this weekend. Going to run some of my top pitchers and stacks for the weekend. And then make sure, like I said, to check out FanShareSports, to check out the updated tags as we get closer to lock, and go check out Fantasy National Golf Club as well. You can hit me up if you have any questions. You can hit me up on the DFSR.com public chat room. Just click on it. You'll find me in there. You can private message me if you want. It's very slow right now in the MLB All-Star break, so I'll be in the public chat room pretty much all day today answering questions. And you can also hit me up on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9. Thanks a lot, and have a great week, everyone.